to then do is choose what device you want to run the test cases on. So here I've chosen the Nokia E71, and this is just a test cycle that I've prepared earlier. And what we're going to do is we're just going to run the test cycle now. So here I have two tests that are associated with this test cycle on this device. So the first one is just a manual test case. So what I can do is I can run the test case here. We'll open up the test case, and again you can see that the step 4 has not been added to this test cycle. So we have ways of controlling the history of the tests and the test cases and checking in the test cases. So we can, a newer version of the test case has been created. We would create that inside of a new test cycle. So let's just execute this test that we have here. Open the application. So this could be something like opening the menu, and we'll take a proof. So here we've captured the screen of the device. I can then move on and say pass. So what I'm now going to do is maybe use the tools. So I'm going to take a picture, create a new picture, maybe go to the memory, and then take another picture. So here we've got good ways of actually capturing proofs for this device. So we can say now we've passed this step as well. And finally, we're going to take our video proof. So what I can do is I can start recording a video, and what we can do is actually exit back to the home screen and then stop recording. So here what you've got is the video recorded, the proof, the actual evidence that you actually executed the test and completed it in exactly the way that was meant to be done. And once you've captured the proof, you can click on pass. So here is your completed test case for this device. But again, because there is another test case, you can click on next test case. So what we have here is actually a fully automated test case. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to demonstrate this to you by just running the test case, and then we'll go into test automation and I'll demonstrate to you how we can sort of do test automation. So this test case will simply add a contact. So you'll see that I'm actually not navigating on the device. I'm actually going to be creating the contact from scratch. So here there is already a contact called Mrs. Avery. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new contact. So here I'm creating a new contact. I'm typing in my name. I'll then go on to type my last name and my mobile phone number. And then we'll save it. Now this is completely being done on the device. It is completely automated. We are using verification checkpoints such as screen checks. We're using text check recognition as well, just to make sure that the correct information has been placed into the device. And what we can then do is save it. So the final screen you should see here is the new contact that has been added. So now we've got two entries of my contact. So what I'll do now is these results are captured and stored inside of our results portal. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just share this this result. I'm going to try and bring it up. So you won't be able to actually see this at the moment, so let me just change it so that you can see the screen. I'm going to bring up the proof so that you're able to see that. So what you have here is actually the representation of the execution inside of our test cases. So here we have the actual, and here we actually have the screenshot and the multiple screenshots, and also the video that's inside of the device.
I could probably do it.
So here we have the video embedded, and also the steps that have been executed inside of our test. So what I'll do now is I'll go back to our application, and I will start and move into automation. So inside of automation, we have the ability to create test scripts on any device on any platform. We can either use a hardware integrated model, which would be a completely hardware integrated device, or we can actually use our hybrid integration, which would allow us to use some of the touchscreen features like on the HTC Desires on the iPhones. What we have here is our very, very simple scripting interface. So that's the smallest I can make that. So I'm going to try and get us as much visible space as you can see. So our scripting interface is made up of two components. So we can either do a record and replay, or we can actually build the script in a manual fashion. So what I've done here, this is the actual test automated script that we just executed on the device, which added a contact. So let me explain to you the different components that are included inside of this. So firstly, we have the send component, which allow you to interact with the device. So an example of a send component would be obviously the send keys. And as I mentioned earlier, each key has a specific mapping and address book as well. We can then do some verifications as well, such as screen images. So here we've got an example of checking a screen. Here I'm checking to make sure that the correct menu option is open. And we also have the ability to control the flow through the system. So we also have stuff such as simple flows, such as looping. So we can create loops depending on the number of times, or we can do it with expressions. And we also have the ability to interact with the touchscreen in an automated way. So here we can also touch a particular part of the screen. Again, the Nokia E71 is not a touchscreen device, but I could just demonstrate this to you here. We have something called fuzzy image recognition. This allows us to change the pixel tolerances, change the color tolerances and position tolerances of what you're seeing on the device. So we can also use that. But what's most impressive as well is also the ability to automate some of the hardware features. So again, if there is a hardware integration for this device, for the specific peripheral, we're able to use that. So we can disconnect, connect the battery, data cable, or even the power if required, in an automated fashion without actually having to have the device in front of you. And again, the way we can extend that as well is by using our extend functionality. So we can actually call other test cases and other functions that have already been created on that particular device. So what I haven't explained at the moment is actually what these list of devices are up here. So this list of devices is actually implementations on each of those devices. So there are quite a few here. So what we're able to actually do is create a flow on a particular device. Now a flow may be something such as opening the web browser. Now as everyone knows, on different mobile devices that's completely difficult and completely different. So due to all the fragmentation of the operating system and also the devices, we're able to create implementations, device-specific implementations for all the devices that you have. So we can create the same add contact script for different devices. So here we just have an example of different devices with different implementations and different devices as well. And as you can see, we also have the Nokia, the Apple iPad as well as an example. So that's really the automation aspect and really the real basics of automation. I won't dive too much into it. I'm sure you all have questions about it, so I'll sort of leave them for the questions. And if obviously anyone would like an actual demonstration, then that's possible as well. So what I'll do is I'll just quickly go back to our slides now. Just go back to where we left off. So thank you very much, everyone, for taking the time to watch my demonstration, to listen. What I'll do now is I'll just go back to the slide where we were, which I believe is here. So I'll now pass it back over to Melanie for a Q&A session.
Thank you, Vincent. Perfect. Thank you. That was quite an interesting demonstration. Thank you very much for that once again. I know it's about an hour or so now, so we'll just take a few questions, guys. So please do type in any questions you want to ask Andy, Javier, or Mitten on your Q&A pod. And please fire away if you could. And we'll take a few questions, and then we'll maybe take some of the questions offline if you want to. For more information of the webinar and obviously of our partnership with DeviceAnywhere, we have our contact